I will go with the lad up yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father? He said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for the burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place from which God had told them of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him upon the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, saying, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do anything unto him, for I know now that thou fearest God, seeing that thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him for the burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place Jehovah-Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. I want us to look at the 11th verse. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, saying, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Just for a moment, I want to lift up this thought in our minds, the second call. The second call.
That's the answer, y'all.
In the house of our Lord. The second call. Bible study, your question is how many men God had to call twice. But we know this one, Abraham. Abraham, Abraham. The life of this patriarch is very interesting. Abraham is chosen because the people after the flood have lost their minds again. At the time spent before the flood, mankind had turned against God. So much so that God had to bring a flood in, and for 40 days it rained. But there are few words about the flood itself. Imagine the catastrophe. No violent content about people screaming for their lives, knocking on the boat. No bloated corpse floating around the waters. Nor does it talk about Noah and his family gloating over their survival. It doesn't even mention about God being happy that he has finally caused the death of the wicked. And here we meet a man with a pagan background, and God pushes restart. Since the introduction of Abraham, we have grappled chapter after chapter to explain the life and why Abraham got this call. Wow, Pastor, whatever do you mean? It would seem to us that if God was trying to reconcile the world back into himself, why would he choose someone with a pagan background? If you trace the life of Abraham up until now, you'll be taking a roller coaster ride. Let me see, can I help you? The trials of his journey, his weaknesses revealed along with his strengths, the bad given along with the good, his spiritual defeats along with his spiritual victories. And then in Genesis 22, we have just a couple of paragraphs quietly, almost inadvertently, telling us about his crowning achievement. Yes, Genesis 22, that's it. This is the climax. This is the reason why we celebrate Abraham as the father of faith. The three major religions today honor Abraham as the father of faith. Now, I want to look at this story so that you won't miss it. When we look at Abraham's situation, I want us to walk through this clearly, because in verse 1, the Bible puts a disclaimer out there. Look at verse 1 for me, if you will. And it says basically that God did tempt Abraham. Did y'all see that? This is a test. This is only a test. Yes. Why the temptation, though, coming from God? This is the same God that calls you is the same God that tempts you. Now, see, this started in the garden. Remember, the same God that made man out of his own image set a tree right in the middle of it that they wasn't supposed to touch. What is it that God is getting out of this temptation here? Could it be that he wants us to choose and choose him only? Let us watch the movements of the text. When you come from a pagan background, it was a common practice, watch this, to have child sacrifices. Yes, it was. So going up this mountain, Abraham was far too familiar with this practice. But could the God of the universe be calling him to indulge in such a practice? Let's see what we have here. The problem is, like Job, Abraham was not privy to any of the information preceding his call. He did not know that God was tempting him. Now, I want us to look at this. The ritual of sacrificing would be to cut the animal up in pieces and burn him to ashes. This is what God was calling Abraham to do with his son Isaac. Now Abraham, he's walking. Let's go ahead and walk. And now we are looking at a situation that I'm a little confused about. His son Isaac. Because God said in the Bible, take now thine son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest. Am I the only one that notices the pink elephant in the room? Okay, well, we're going to try to pretend like Abraham only has one son. Are we going to really do that? We know that Abraham had another son. And his name was Ishmael. And in fact, he was older, 14 years older than Isaac. So why is it that God is overlooking Ishmael? And he goes straight and says, take now thine son, thine only son, Isaac. Can I help you? Here's the news flash. Ishmael, he's not even dead. What you mean by thine only son? Okay. Why does God say your only son? Despite the fact that Isaac has a stepbrother named Ishmael, there's a problem with his firstborn son. Okay, here's the problem. At the time when God was calling Abraham to sacrifice, watch this. He had already cast out his son, Isaac. Do y'all remember? Those of y'all who don't remember. But this was the baby that he had that God told him to wait on. I'm going to bring your son between you, your old self, and your wife's old self. Y'all gonna come together and have a fresh new baby. But they couldn't wait, could they? And so they conjured up a scheme. The Bible looks at and points that Sarah has conjured up to see, here, take Hagar, my maidservant. They joined together and they had a son. We can call it illegitimate. We can call it out of wedlock. We can say it was his side chick. I don't know what we want to say. All I know is that when God said, take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, he was talking about Isaac, but he knew there was an Ishmael that was born. Okay, watch it, y'all. This goes to say that even though you're great, your mistakes will have you stuck with an Ishmael for the rest of your life. Let me see. Brothers, sometimes it takes you 15, 20 years to get out of something that it took you 15, 20 minutes to get into. Now, I know y'all don't like this kind of preaching, but I'm going to say it anyway. Your Ishmael will remind you of that dark place in life that God had to deliver you from. That's why you can't get too arrogant and puffed up, because every time you turn around, you'll see your Ishmael. Do I have anybody in this house that sees their Ishmael and remind you that you don't belong where you are? It's only by the grace of God that you're doing what you're doing. Because you know you do have an Ishmael in your life. Right. Oh, watch this. Abraham, he was traveling from Beersheba, and this meant he was traveling about 50 miles. They're traveling about 50 miles with these slow donkeys. Got 2 servants, and him and his son, and they got a bunch of wood. And the Bible said it took 3 days. Now, let me see, can I help you out? He's over 100 years old. He's traveling for 50 miles with slow donkeys and servants and sons, and with a bunch of wood, and he doesn't know where he's going. Oh, it's a journey. But when he finally makes it to the place where God told him to go, something strange happens. Look at verse 7. Isaac, he addresses the pink elephant in the room. Isaac, watch this. He said, Father, I see the wood. And I see the fire. But where is the offering? That lamb that we normally kill. I don't see that. Okay, y'all not getting it. Let me see. Can I get it? Since y'all don't want to talk about it, keep in mind that Isaac has never experienced pagan worship. He only knows one way to worship. So Isaac said, now, the way we worship is I see the fire. I see the wood. And watch this, I even see the knife. But the way we worship, there's an animal laying on the wood. He said, where is the animal? And Abraham says something that your mama always tells you when she don't want you to know it in her business. She always play it off. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He looks at him and he said, don't worry about it, son. God will provide his own offering. All right. Did he really answer the question? Was he lying? To me, it seems like Abraham was struggling. In other words, he was afraid to tell Isaac, I don't know, man. He told me to kill you. He couldn't tell his son that. So he looks at him and said, God will provide. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I got an epiphany when I heard this. Because Abraham, he must have known that if God is calling you to do something crazy, that he must have something good in store for you. He said, God will provide. Whatever it is, he's calling those things that be not as though they are. Watch the movements of the text. Abraham, he ties up Isaac. And what I'm shocked about, brothers, is that Isaac doesn't move. Now, keep in mind, this is not a little boy. This is this teenage boy. So he can push that old man down at any time he wants to. He ties him up to the wood, and he even got so far as to stretch it out. And he cocked back, can't you see it, flexing, holding him with one hand and physically come down with the other hand. Whew, that was close. Yeah. Think about it, how close he was to stabbing his own son. I'm in verse 11. The Bible says that the Lord called out, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. The thing that gives me pause is the fact that he had to call him twice. Okay, y'all don't get it, do you? Yeah. Come on, Pastor, give him a break. He's 100 years old. His hearing might be going bad. No. I know that he doesn't have a hearing problem. Look at verse 1. The Bible said, God said, Abraham said, here I am. What you want? Okay, look at verse 7. Yeah. Verse 7 said, Father. He said, here I am, son, here I am. But why is it when we get to verse 11, he acts like he has a hearing problem? Abraham. Okay. Up until now, he's doing what pagans do. He's used to this. And he's doing it until he hears a voice the second time. Follow me, if you will. The second call is because Abraham didn't stop on the first call. Okay, let me try it again. The second call is the Lord's way of saying, I need your attention. Okay, that didn't get you. The second call is the Lord's way of saying, you need to learn to discern my voice when you're in critical situations. If you don't, you'll kill the very thing that you love. Okay, watch this. God could have stopped on the first call, Abraham, but he loved you too much.
Yeah.
He had to call you a second time. And you can sit there and look holy if you want to.
All right now.
But somebody in here
Needs a second call.
needs a second call.
That's right.
Somebody in here that had a second, a third. Now, I don't want to give you your business now. But there's somebody in here, you can't claim to be perfect. Because God had to call a repeat offender. Yeah, get you out of the same mess that he delivered you out of. You said you wasn't going back. We look up, you right back into the same situation. Is there anybody in here who needed a second call because that first call didn't quite work, Brother Howard? Yeah, don't tell nobody. Your resume has second call on it.
Yeah.
That's why you're afraid to show somebody. There's somebody who got fired on a job. You don't put that on your resume, do you?
Right.
Now, you don't put I got fired from Parkland on my resume. I got fired from UPS on my. Now, you don't put that on your resume, do you? There's some folks who are ashamed about their second call. One of the most frustrating things is when you call them a child. Come here. Josiah. I know this boy hear me. And then they could be looking right at you. Josiah! Jasmine! Keisha! I know they perfect. And then they turn around, they got these little white things hanging in their head.
Yeah.
They looking right at you, but they can't hear nothing that you're saying because something is blocking them from hearing you. Could it be that something that you have in your life is blocking you from hearing the voice of God? If you're not careful, watch this. The complications in your life will have you blocking the voice of God. And one thing I struggle with is this. Here's the first case. The I, mine, and me's. That's the first thing that has your ear all plugged up. I, mine, and me. You can actually be in a space in your life where you feel like you got it all together and you don't need God. I, mine, and me. Your good job. You make a lot of money now. Your nice car. Your house. Your good health. Why do you need God? I got this. Now, let me tell y'all something. We go out of town every year, right? Sometimes twice a year. And for some reason, I'm the designated driver, Brother Howard. Guess I'm the only one that can just stay awake for an hour at a time. But anyway, I'm driving, and it seems like when we go out of town, the GPS starts messing up at some point. But because we've been there year after year, my wife and my daughter think that they know where they're going. And so instead of looking at the GPS, I started listening to them. I pulled from the resources. I started listening to them. And the last time I listened to them, Brother, they drove me straight to a Ku Klux Klan rally. It was a dead end and all these. I was like, wait a minute, let me get up out of here. Y'all don't know where y'all going. But when you're listening to the wrong voice and you're trying to pull all your resources in, it'll have you in a place where you're not supposed to be. I know I'm getting after this. Now, watch this. He's 100 years old. He has 50 miles in front of him. He's in good health. He's a very important man. He's so important, he's rich, and he has 2 servants. And he got the call, and he got up early that morning. Everybody like, ooh, Abraham, he got up real early. And he responded to the call, yeah? But I noticed something, Brother Howard. As Abraham was walking, he never called upon God. He never prayed when he was walking. He didn't know where he was going, feeling his way through. Can't you see it? Everybody walking with him, and he's trying to go to a place where an invisible God told him to go. Can't you see the servants getting on his nerve? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You sure God is calling you? Man, you too old to be walking this far. Can't you see all of this stuff going on? And can I tell y'all something? That you can do something so well that you actually believe because of the skill set you have that you don't need God. Your talent. I work hard. I made this money. I got connections. Yeah, my education. Everybody needs to go back and get their education. I have the ability to do something, and I don't need God. Oh, let me give you a reality check. Y'all ready? Pastor H.B. Charles said it like this. Whatever you neglect in prayer, you assume that you can do it yourself.
That's good.
Okay.
That's real good.
Whatever you don't pray about means that you can do it yourself. I got this. Okay. So the question is, here y'all go, the question. What are you so good at that you don't need God anymore? What is it that you're so good at that you don't need God anymore? Can I help y'all?
Help me.
I have a good job. I don't need to pray about bills anymore because I got this. Okay, that didn't get you. Let me try it again. Pastor, you can preach, man. You can preach. I used to pray before I preach. Pray before I speak to anybody. But now that I'm pretty good, I don't need God anymore. Okay, y'all still not. Okay, let me come down God's street. When you first start driving, you used to get behind the wheel. Say no prayer. Lay hands on the windshield. But now you're driving up and down the street, and you ain't talked to God yet. I guess you're too good. You don't need God anymore when you get behind the wheel. So the thing I want you to understand is that you can be in a situation with good help. Because God has delivered you. You was on the prayer list, everybody laying hands on you. Now all of a sudden you got your help up on you. We ain't seen you at church. Because now you got this. You don't need God anymore. I know I stepped on some toes then.
Yes, indeed.
So you got to understand the eyes and knees. The problem with the eyes and knees is that when you fall, you're going to have to pick yourself up. And from what I heard, this is what I heard, that when you fall, the eyes and knees scatter.
All right.
When you fall, there's nobody around to pick you up.
Yeah.
Now, watch this. Here's the second thing. The second thing is that you lack patience. Don't you know that millions of people are in debt because they lack patience?
Yes.
I want it, and I want it now. There's millions of bank accounts in the negative. Even right now, go swipe your card, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because you lack patience. Let's see the movements of the text. Abraham had become so anxious, trying to get what God wanted him to get. Watch this. And he's walking. Can't you see him? He's walking, and he's saying, I'm finally to the place where God is telling me to go. And he's anxious, because you know he has a problem with patience. He's getting up there, and he's going straight to the altar. He got his son with that wood. Can't you see him? But here's the problem. He walked right past that ram in the bush. I tell you, I don't know. That's why I'm glad y'all came to this church. See, y'all thought that Abraham was being called to go see if he'll really kill his son. The Bible didn't say that. It said it was going to tempt him. Now, could it be that if he had lifted up his eyes and saw that ram in the bush and saw the son who he loved, he would have stopped and prayed to God and said, God, do me a favor. Can we make a substitution? Can we kill this ram instead of my son? Because I love my son. But he was too anxious. Oh God, can I deal with y'all lack of patience? Can I deal with it right now? Okay, watch this. Every door that is open is not the door for you to walk through.
Amen.
Every good business deal, it's not yours. Come here, domino players. All money ain't good money. And every good-looking man is not your boo. Abraham, I know you're tired. I know you're weary, but wait upon the Lord. Watch this. Didn't you flunk the first test? That's why you got an Ishmael that you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
You're too anxious. You lack patience. Okay. I gotta go there. Y'all ready? You can want something or someone so bad that you convince yourself that it's the will of God.
That's right.
Okay. You wanted it so bad, you dreamed about it. You even called your girlfriend and girl, I dreamed about it. You got confirmation from Instagram and Twitter. You named it and claimed it. Y'all touched and agreed. Yeah, held hands, went to church that Sunday, put it on the prayer list. And you can see it in your grips. You've been desiring it for so long. And now you want it by any means necessary. To the point where you can't hear the voice of God saying, no, not yet.
Okay.
Wait, I got something better for you. Here's the good thing. Y'all want to know the good thing? The something better for you will come. But this time, you'll have to drag Ishmael with you. Y'all didn't get it. Yeah, the good thing will come, but you'll have a criminal record with it. Okay, y'all didn't get it. Yeah, the good thing will come, but your resume going to be tainted with it. Because when God promises something, he will deliver it, but wait upon the Lord. Okay. You lack patience. Okay, here we go. You're too busy. Every day you're doing something. Every day you got your hand into something. You all over the place. Grandma would tell you, get somewhere and what? That's the way she just sat down somewhere. Listen to the voice of God. See, we live in a world where if you take a day off, you missing money. Yeah, you miss my money and taking a day off. Yeah. You got no PTO left. If you're spending time with loved ones, then you're missing out on something happening out there. Yeah.
Make it plain.
Yeah. If you're getting some rest, then you consider lazy. God is calling your name for the second time because he wants you to get somewhere, sit down and listen to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the third thing, because y'all looking at me funny. Here we go. Third thing. That God keeps calling you. Why? Because your life is full of sin. Lock that door for me. Don't let nobody leave. I got to deal with this. Let's get rid of the pink elephant in the room right now. When you're living a life of unrepentant sin, you ignore God on purpose. Did y'all know that? Okay, y'all don't want to say nothing. I'm going to go there anyway. You can hear him, but it's hard to answer God when you have that drink in your hand. Put that boom for me. You can hear him, but it's hard when you're smoking. Notice I put two fingers together. I know what I'm talking about. It's hard when you're in somebody's bed you're not supposed to be in and call upon the name of the Lord. You can't do that too well. So calling you, you're ignoring him.
Yeah.
Wait till I get past this. And then I go to church Sunday morning and I cry and repent and do all that other mess. Okay, I know y'all don't like this, but can I just throw this in parenthetically? Somebody in here, God is still calling you. And you still turning a deaf ear. Me and wives, I can call it selective hearing.
Yeah.
I hear what I want to hear. Now, it depends on how she calls me, whether I respond. Sweetheart, yes. Sweetheart. I didn't hear you. Oh, you wanted something? Because it depends on how you call and whether I'm watching ESPN right now. And I don't want to be distracted. What is it that have you so distracted that you can't hear the voice of God? Huh? Is it your job? No. Is it the one you're holding hands with, going to the movies with? What has you so distracted that you can't hear God calling you and he has to call you for the second time? Because his first attempt, watch this, was to call you to do something that you can't do for yourself. That was the first attempt. Okay, here we go. You tried to do it yourself, and you messed up. Here we go with the second call. When God calls you for the second time, watch this. He will get a response out of you by any means necessary.
Okay.
Oh, you don't want him to go there. Because you think you have good health. Oh, he'll break it down. You think you have a good job. There's a pink slip laying on your pretty desk. You think that boo was in it for life. Your boo will become somebody else's boo. He has a way of breaking you down to your lowest term just to get your attention with the second call.
Yeah.
See, Mom used to threaten me. Boy, don't let me call you again.
That's right.
Because see, if she calls you again, it's not going to come out nice like the first one did. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Because that second guy, if I have to call you again, there's going to be consequences and repercussions. Watch this. God will tap into your resources, your connections, break you down, your finances, your health, your marriage, until he gets you to respond. It wasn't until verse 13 that I got it. Abraham finally lifted up his eyes.
Yes.
Because, watch this, Ishmael must have been on his mind the whole time. He had his head down. What keeps your head down? What makes you ashamed about what you did? God is telling you, I got that. I'm calling you to this. Get your head up. And when he finally lifted up his head, that's when he saw the ram in the bush. Can I tell y'all something? Y'all thought the ram in the bush came when he was walking up the mountain, didn't you? That's what y'all thought. But how about when he called him out of the Ur of the Chaldeans, he put a ram already in the bush. Because God will not call you unless he has the provisions to take you where he wants you to go. He didn't just make up a ram when he said, Abraham, Abraham. It was already there. See, the songwriter said it like this: I looked all over, couldn't find nobody. Nobody greater than you. That's why he had to say Jehovah Jireh. What's that mean? God, my provider. Watch this, y'all. It says, 13, and Abraham lifted up his eyes, looked, and behold, behind him, a ram caught in the thicket by his horn. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him as a burnt offering instead of his son. Y'all didn't get it? He was trying to get him to understand that when you feel like you're at your end, there's a substitute.
Yeah.
I'll take your place. Okay. The test wasn't over until he provided the substitute. Did y'all see? Okay. It wasn't enough for Jesus to come down. I'm closing, Brother Howard. I got to get about it. They're really looking at me tired. It wasn't enough for him to come down here and walk 33 and a half years. It wasn't enough for him to come down here teaching and healing the sick. It wasn't enough for him to come down here and raise the dead.
Yeah.
He had to take our place. If, just think about it, if he had done all that stuff and then died and then buried, and we all get to go to Jesus' tomb and he's in the casket, what would we do? Y'all don't know? We would be dead, sleeping in our grave. We wouldn't have a heaven to go to. He had, see, y'all don't understand this. Before you were in your mother's womb,
Yeah.
God provided a ram in the bush. Are y'all getting this?
Yeah.
Jesus was always going to take your place. That's why it feels so good for me to love Jesus, because he first loved me. God had a plan from the very beginning when he formed man, because he knew how shifty you were. He knew that you were going to get yourself in trouble. He had a ram in the bush named Jesus Christ who would die a substitutionary death on that cross.
Yes. Yes.
Can't you see Jesus on the cross? Just like Isaac was. Father, I see the wood. I see the nails. Y'all remember when he was in that garden? And he said, Father, if it be possible, take this cup from me. I see the wood. I see the hammer and the nails. But I know you're not telling me to get down and take their place. But he said, nevertheless, not my will. Oh my goodness, I can preach all day on nevertheless.
Yeah.
I am a benefactor of nevertheless.
That's right.
I messed up, but nevertheless. I was full of sin, but nevertheless. Things didn't go well. I walked the wrong way. I ended up in some bad places, but nevertheless, he still died for me. And it doesn't stop there. It wasn't enough for him to die. Because if you die, we all dead. But the Bible said he got up with all power in his hands. And if you know like I know, you'll be thankful for the second call. Somebody say, I thank you for the second call. Because the first one jacked me up. I ignored you. I had my headphones in. I knew I was somewhere I shouldn't have been. But that second call broke me down. And now I'm a witness. Won't he do it for me? Somebody say, won't he do it? When he calls you the second time, won't he lift you up? Won't he turn you around? Won't he place your feet on solid ground? Won't he put food on your table? Won't he give you hope and sorrow? Won't he give you joy for tomorrow? Somebody say, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Only those who got the second call say, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? If you ever been in trouble, somebody say, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he? Won't he? Won't he? Won't he? Won't he? Somebody say, yeah. I'm so glad for the second call.
Thank you.
I might not be like you.
Thank you, Lord.
You're perfect in all your ways. But I needed a second, third, or fourth. I ain't gonna tell all my business. But I'm so glad that he broke me down. And I responded to that second call. God bless you. May he keep you. That's my prayer. And maybe somebody in here, you didn't respond to the first call. Guess what? He's calling you again.
Yes.
I'm so glad there's always a second call. If Jesus went into the city, he has to come out of the city. You didn't catch him going in, but I'm going to be by that gate. When he comes by, I'm going to be like the blind man. Jesus, son of David, have mercy. Oh, me, I had too much pride when you first went in. Everybody was looking at me. They was looking at my business when you first went in. But now I can care less what you think about me. I'm not going to let them pass me by on that second time. Doors of the church are open.